Okay. Hello. Is it working? There it goes. Excellent. Yeah, perfect. Not like the first time I ever live streamed. This is nice. Oh man. We're just gonna give people a minute to come in. Hello, everybody. And this time, this stream, I think I'm getting chat in real time instead of delayed like it was. Because now I know how to mess with it so that it's not like that. So it's good. Fantastic. Okay. Oh, dang. I was going to put something up on the screen to let people know that there was going to be spoilers. I just realized I don't know how to do that. Huh. Oh well. Just know, for anybody coming in, there's gonna be spoilers. That can't be helped. It's just kind of part of it. Uh, Kathy spelled my name wrong. Is that who you're talking about? Couldn't find mine. Or hers. Because I have a Twitter. I didn't tell anybody. I used it exclusively to DM Kyle. I'm pretty sure I'm allowed to call her that. And I just want to confirm, you guys can hear me, right? Oh, there she is. No one's confirmed that they can hear me yet. Okay, good. Thank you. Thank you. Perfect. Just making sure. Awesome. And people keep coming in, but I think we can just get started if that's okay. Yeah? Yeah. We can get it going. I don't know how to get rid of this little part here. Whoops. That's fine. Oh, wait. Whoop. No, that didn't work. Dang it. Backwards.
Oh.
What the heck?
The heck?
Can anybody hear me? Hi, chat. Hello.
Someone
It
said there
begins.
is a slight delay. There is a little one.
There's a bit of a delay.
Dang it. I don't know how to fix
Hi.
that. I don't know how to fix
Sorry for just barging in. I was fixing my mic and then I accidentally unmuted and now I'm here. Hello. Hi everyone. Hi everyone in chat. Hello. Do I sound okay? Is the audio all right? I'm really loud. I'm echoing? Who's echoing? Me?
I'm echoing.
Oh,
You're loud.
I'm loud and you're echoing. Okay.
How do I
Hello.
fix that?
I mean, I'll just say hi to chat while you try to fix, fix your setup.
Oh
Hi,
no.
everyone. Yeah, apparently I'm a lot louder than you are.
Hmm. I'm gonna have to Google the issue.
I'll just be saying hello to everyone while you do that. Hello to everyone. Welcome to the podcast. Is that what we're calling it? Welcome to the
Uh,
stream.
yeah, it's like both.
Welcome to the podcast slash stream. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling good. Um, you know, after that lore stream, am I right? As good as I can feel after what happened last night. That was a good stream, to be fair. To be fair.
Hmm.
Maybe we'll reserve the questions for like the interview part, yeah? Well, I'll get to the questions in a bit, and then I think
Did that help?
we'll get there. We'll get there.
No, it didn't.
Passerine podcast is muted. No, I think
No, I just
Passerine
wasn't
podcast
talking. I
is
was
just
afraid of the echoing.
himself.
Gosh darn it.
Do you want to do a mic test?
A mic test?
Yeah, for you on your end when you've got everything fixed, maybe.
I could try.
Okay, I think
Ugh. Hmm. No, I'm just looking at this, trying to figure out how this works.
I think you're good. Is that good, chat? I think that didn't echo that time.
It's not echoing, I don't think, but you're still loud.
I'm still out.
No, there's an echo. Oh my gosh. Okay, if I talk kind of far away, it probably won't echo, but I'll be even quieter.
Maybe just like turn me down, or did you like with the Discord? Did you play around with the Discord volumes yet?
I didn't even know that was something you could do.
Oh my god. You can just just change the Discord volumes around. That is something you can definitely do, I think.
How? Oh no. I
You're doing good, sweetie. You're doing
I'll
good.
get there. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Let's see.
You can't hear them. It's so quiet, apparently.
Just because I'm not as close to the mic, so it's not as loud. I don't know where the echo's coming from. If it's still there. Let's see. No? Hmm. On Discord itself, I don't know how to alter the volume.
Right click my Discord profile photo.
Oh my gosh.
You
Oh,
got
that's
it. You
way
got it.
quiet.
They got it. They got it, I think.
Yeah. Well, that was much easier than I thought it was going to be.
Okay, how about this chat? Is it good? Is the audio good? It's okay if you listen to headsets. Yeah, that's what I'm doing right now, actually. Is this good? Could you try talking?
Me? Yeah, I can try talking. Sorry. Talking.
Yes, okay. Go ahead. Try talking so chat can hear you and see
Okay.
if it's okay.
I can't change my own volume. That, for some reason, is not working for me. But I can change yours. So that's very cool.
Okay, it's good. It's good. Yay. We can start now.
We good,
Hello,
fam.
hello chat. Welcome to the stream. Sorry for that delay. It's streaming is hard. Streaming is definitely hard. Hello.
Yeah, we're
It's
all
good.
getting used to it.
So, hello. Welcome to the podcast slash interview slash stream or whatever we're doing here. tonight.
It's
I'll let
something.
the host, you, I'll let you take the reins from now.
Okay. And actually, I just chose the word podcast because it was a nice alliteration with Passerine. I don't think it's an actual podcast.
Yeah,
You
we
know?
we can yeah. We can just use it for that nice alliteration then.
Exactly. Well, okay. Man, this is so fun now that
This is
we've
so fun.
properly set
I
up.
don't so let's dive right into things, I guess.
Okay, so I'm going to be honest. I had like 50 questions. I'm not even joking.
Oh my God. Okay.
I
Let's
had
let's
to
get cracking then.
I had to condense it down cuz I was like, okay, if we're going to go for like, I don't know, an hour, that's like maybe 10 questions. So, I need to work on that.
Disclaimer, I talk a lot, Pat. So there's that.
That's okay.
It's a podcast in spirit. It is. It is.
So, I just kind of want to get this question out of the way because a lot of people asked it, and maybe it was only obvious to me. Where did you get the inspiration for your story?
Well, the thing about this fandom is that you can just find inspiration the moment you log into twitter.com because everybody is talking like about the same, the same characters and the same concepts you have. And there are a lot of twists that people put into their works and then, it's a snowball effect kind of. So like the Gods AU has been like around for such a long time, It's not an original thought on my end. And also like the sleepy voice dynamic that's already been there. So in general, the inspiration was just from that, from different sources, just tangled into one from things that I liked.
Oh, okay. Excellent. Cuz I just figured, well, the Dream SMP, right? But Twitter apparently.
Twitter, Dream SMP and Twitter.
Fantastic. Oof,
I don't know.
sorry.
It's just. I think it's the what that's kind of one thing that I really like about this fandom. How we can inspire each other. Just like just various art forms all bouncing off one another. Like brains, like we're just swapping brain cells in this fandom until somebody gets a coherent thought out of it. I think that's the really fun thing about this fandom, actually.
Yeah, that is something I've noticed. There's a lot of creativity that comes from the fandom because it's not
Hmm.
just from all the animations, but from these kind of things, the stories that come from it. Because that's what it is. It's a big story that all of these random British and American guys just kind of came up with.
Yeah, and then the fandom just took that and ran with it, and now we're here. We're here on a podcast about a fan fiction inspired by inspired by
Yes.
Minecraft YouTubers, and that's very fun to me. That's a very fun thought.
Isn't it fun? It's just nuts. Our creativity went wild after the Dream SP started. It's
Hmm.
really cool, actually. Anyway, so that's
Yeah,
cool.
that's it. That's the main question, the big question out of the way, I guess.
It's the one that showed up the most. It's just a lot of people wanted to know.
Hmm.
Okay,
There are a lot
now
of
I
questions out there.
now I just need to decide which question to do next.
That's fine. There are even questions in chat. Oh my god.
Yeah, and that's part of why I wanted them to be part of this because we might not
Hmm.
mention everything that they want to hear.
Yeah,
I
like you
think,
can go ahead and ask me questions.
uh huh. I wanted to ask personally, have you had any writing classes or training?
Mm, well, I've been writing like since I was I guess 11 because I was a journalist for my school, and a lot of my technical training came from my editor in chief and the teachers teaching me how, how grammar works because English is not my first language. So all the technical things I took from them, the teachers there, for my journalist class. But actual like classes I didn't start until this year when I signed up for to be an English major in my college. And that's where I'm at now.
Nice. English major.
I am an English major.
So, what's your first language?
Um I've I have I guess technically two. I have two first languages. Bisaya is like kind of the regional language in my region, but in my country it's Tagalog or Filipino. So yeah,
Oh,
I have three languages under my belt.
nice. I've got the one.
Oh, you monolinguals.
I know. Well, that's excellent. Well, you're very, very good at English. Because I don't know
Every
if you know
chat
this,
is just
your
it's
fan
just not your
fiction
language.
is
What?
it's very good.
Thank you for
Just
all your compliments on my English chat. I worked very hard on it.
and it shows. Honestly, in your speak and also in your writing.
Thank you, thank you. The questions are just coming in from chat. Should we should we pick out a question now and then from chat in between yours?
Yeah, if you see one that you want to answer, you can go ahead and answer it.
Okay. Whose reaction to Passerine from the CCs was the most exciting one for you? Honestly, all of them. Because when I started this project, that question was from chat, by the way. Um, when I started this project, I never expected it to get anywhere, frankly. Like I remember in the early days of Passerine when it was just like around a few thousand readers, I was like, "Oh, okay, this is fine. This is fine. It's the biggest project I've ever dealt with." And then I thought it would stop there, I thought it would like peak at 20K readers or something. And then, people started talking about it on Twitter, and then it snowballed from there. And I think in my mind, I'm still catching up to that. So the CC reactions still haven't like fully registered. Maybe like a month from now, I'll be sitting in bed, and then I'll just like start panicking because, oh my God, the CCs reacted like a few months ago because my brain just caught up with it. But I think though, in the recent I have been enjoying Nikki's reading streams of Passerine, so that's been very exciting for me.
Has she been doing that?
Hmm?
I didn't know. I didn't know that was a thing that was happening.
Yeah, Nikki's reading it on her alt on her Twitch alt. It's been
Oh,
very fun. That's been very exciting for me.
well, wow. Shows what I know. I didn't even know that she was doing that. I don't spend a whole lot of time on anything besides YouTube,
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
so I guess I'm not really in with the community as much as I could be. But that's
That's
cool.
fair. Should you would you like to ask a question or should
Yes,
I
I wasn't sure
from
if you
chat?
wanted to keep talking. Sorry.
No, it's fine. It's
Going along with that, when the saddest animation first came out, what was your first thought upon seeing it?
Holy shit. Okay. Uh, oh, can I curse? Is that allowed in is that allowed on
I think
YouTube?
that's fine. We've all read it. There's cursing in it. We're fine.
I'm allowed to curse.
Yes.
Yeah, that was just my main reaction. It was just holy shit. Because I stayed up until 4 a.m. for it. Yeah, because Philippine time zone, right?
Yeah.
So I stayed up. So I was a bit kind of like sleep deprived. So my like all my emotions were like all over the place at that point. It's been building up for the past few weeks before that because Asadis did say that they were making it, and then from that it's just been constant hype for me. And when it finally dropped, I was like, oh my god, this is so surreal. Like I can't believe it. I don't think I even believe it now. Like it's been a few months already. And then I thought it would end there, and then Wilbur went live, and I'm like, oh my god, is he
And
is he gonna react? It's been and then I saw and then I saw like Tommy and Filza commented under it, and then I saw Sapnap tweet about it on his priv, and so it was just like that night for me, like it was just one punch after the other, you know. It was just like one after the
yes.
other. I was like, please let me breathe, please, like let me get a second to just process this. So now that I've processed it a bit more, that was a fun night, definitely. It was a very wild night, and I don't think it's it's ever registered fully for me yet.
Yeah, because Saddest is like the biggest animator in the fandom, I'd say. Just one of the most well known.
Yeah, yeah, definitely one of them.
So that would have been really cool. I can't
Someone
even
said,
imagine how I would feel.
are spoilers allowed?" Then yeah, sure. Let's talk about. I think everybody in this chat has read Passerine,
Yeah,
I guess.
sorry.
Mm. So someone asked, why was Mumza not Mumza? Yeah, so if you didn't know, on Twitter I did confirm that the Mumza uh in Passerine is not actually, like, it's not actually Kristen, it's the Samsung smart fridge, right? That was because um I didn't actually want to cross any boundaries, with uh I didn't I didn't want to cross any boundaries because at that point Kristen hadn't really made her boundaries on fanfic known.
Am I
So,
back?
you know, it's
Okay.
that was very important to me that I didn't cross any boundaries and stuff. So I
Am I
just
back?
made sure that I used, a, a person that couldn't be hurt. That is to say, the Samsung smart fridge. I know it's very funny. It's cursed lore in Passerine. Is that
Can
curse? I think, in the grand scheme of things, I was just following canon. It's not the worst thing that's ever happened, I don't think. It's not the
can you
worst thing that's ever happened in this fandom.
can you really not hear me?
Oh, here you go. You're back.
Oh, where did I go?
I couldn't hear you.
Oh, well that's awkward.
At least Sally is a human in Passerine. Yeah? At least Sally is a human in Passerine.
I'm sure we were all wondering what you
They
were
were
gonna do
all.
with that.
Sally to me is just a very interesting character in the Dream of Simply. I wanted to insert her into the fanfic as much as I could. Okay,
Okay.
since you're back, I've done. Do you have any more questions?
Yeah, I'm just worried now. I don't know what went wrong.
No, you're good. You're good. You're good
Yeah,
now.
I was gonna ask you something else, and I don't know what it was. Um, Sorry. Hmm. I am not well
No,
prepared.
that's okay. That's okay. We can just pluck some questions out of chat sometimes. I see a lot.
Oh, this was
What do you
this came up a couple of times too. Were there any authors or um, other styles of writing that inspired yours?
Oh yeah, definitely, definitely. I've seen a lot of people say that they've told me that my writing style reminds them of the Song of Achilles by Madeline Miller, and, and that's such a huge compliment because Madeline Miller is one of my favorite authors. So there's that. The Song of Achilles is definitely one of my biggest inspirations, and also Beartown by Frederick Backman. That's also the writing style and the beats of the story, the flow. I took a lot of inspiration from Beartown. It's just that my writing style is basically just an amalgamation of all my favorite, just like a burrito of all my favorite books into one.
That's an excellent way of putting it. You just
And
pick
somebody,
like a different
yeah, you
ingredient,
just
just roll it
I'm
up.
just as at the buffet, like at a buffet, like picking. Oh, this one's nice. The writing style from this book, and then the flow of the story from this book. It's very fun. It's very fun trying to figure out your own writing style just from, other people's writing styles. I think that's
So you
how
get
a lot of writers begin, just trying to copy how their favorite authors sound like. And then from there they can find their own footing.
so you
So
get a lot of
every
inspiration from songs then?
yeah, definitely. I mean, Passerine is named after a song.
A
So
very good song.
and
Yes.
Shrike is also named after a song. Um I do have a playlist on my YouTube channel. I made it public a few months ago. That's the songs that I listened to while I was writing Passerine. So they're on my YouTube channel. If you guys want to check it out, all the songs I listen to. Because I'm not the type of person who can write while it's dead quiet. I don't like that. So I put on a bit of music. A lot of Hosier, a lot of the Oh Hellos, a lot of Dodie, Taylor Swift. Just just the basic kind of, music that you can find on any
Yeah,
white girl Spotify.
the kind of music that you can have in the background. That's kind of softer, maybe easier to
Mhm.
study with. Because I actually have a hard time studying or writing when the songs have words in them. I have to listen to instrumentals, otherwise I can't focus.
I'm okay with words. Especially all the Hosier songs. I definitely recommend putting that in the background if you want to write like an atmospheric kind of story, because Hosier has a very cool voice and very cool lyrics.
Yeah, Irish, really good.
Ev- Everyone's asking about two people in particular, Carl and Quackity, and how they fit into the story.
I knew they'd come up eventually.
They'd come up eventually. Okay, so here's the thing, chat, okay? Yes, originally in the story, like if you were reading Passerine like around when it was around 10K readers and stuff, I did put the implied Carl Nappity tag on it, but then I was going through Q's boundaries, and then he said something about how there was a boundary about it, like how he didn't want to be shipped with his friends, and I don't know how that works technically. Like, is he not okay with characters? And I had a lot of questions about that, about Q's boundaries overall. But at the end of the day, I really really want to put the content creators boundaries above any kind of storytelling, so I took that out. So that's why in some versions of Passerine that maybe was downloaded before I made the edit, it did say lovers plural for Sapnap's part in it, but then it's lover singular in later versions of it, just because I really didn't I was not comfortable with even the idea of crossing Q's boundaries. It just made me feel so, I don't know.
No, that
But
makes sense. I did wonder about that because earlier he did mention that there were two, it sounded. And I was like, oh, that makes sense. And then it changed, which we're fine
yeah,
with because it was still a really sad image of him just sitting
just
there for years.
for like sitting there for years.
That's just
Oh,
heartbreaking.
somebody also asked how Carl and Quackity are gonna fit into Shrike. Who knows? Who knows? Maybe you'll see them sooner or later. Maybe I'm working on their chapter right now. Who knows?
Who knows? There is a surprising amount of people that don't know that Shrike is a thing.
Oh yeah, because I don't talk about it a lot. The only times I talked about it, I talk about Shrike is when I post the new chapter, and then I drop a link on Twitter, and then I just dip. I just like peace out.
Perfect.
Because I think it's the Shrike is a for me is just a little hobby, just something that I can share to like a few amount of people, that so that it doesn't really overwhelm me that much. That's why I don't really talk about it. I don't like talking about it. It's just a fun little project for me.
Gotcha. So you're fine
What's your
with me narrating it, right?
Shrike?
Yeah, because I
Maybe.
started to.
Oh my, yeah, yeah, yeah. You're good. You're good. You're good.
Okay.
But yes, sorry for the slow updates on Shrike though, because I'm actually working on another project, a one shot that you might want to keep your eyes on for Dream's birthday.
Is
I'll
it another
probably.
story?
It was a Twitter poll, and it's gonna be based on character dream on the Dream SMP, not Passerine Dream. So that's gonna be
Okay.
fun.
Well, that
Do
sounds
you
like
plan
fun.
on writing more in this series after Shrike? I don't know. Maybe I did have a plan initially to like drop one shots of like other characters' point of views, just just short slice of life, how they're doing, kind of stuff. But life became busy, and then a lot of things happened. So maybe that's my answer on that. Maybe. What song was Shrike named after? The Hosier song. Yeah, it's the Hosier song by Shrike.
What, have you not listened to it? Chat? What the heck are you doing?
Listen to Shrike by Hosier. It is a very, very good song.
Or
And
anything
the
by
lyrics, the
Hosier.
lyrics are the lyrics are phenomenal. I love Shrike so much.
I didn't,
Are you?
well, to be honest, I didn't know it existed until your Shrike came out, and I was like, oh, what's this song?
That should be considered a war crime. Chat,
I
go
know.
listen to Hosier's entire discography because I assure you, like, it's more painful than anything I could ever write.
Okay, there are a lot of people in chat asking what your favorite scene was. I think I remember you wrote somewhere that your favorite scene to write was the dream sequences in chapter
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
7.
Yeah, yeah. Chapter 7. Chapter 7. I have a lot of thoughts about Chapter 7. I know everybody's baby is Chapter 4, but my baby is Chapter 7. I spent so much time writing that. I think if you were here before I finished Passerine, you just remember this 1 month drought between Chapter 6 and Chapter 7, where I was just for 4 weeks working on this one chapter. So chapter 7 is very dear to me just based on how how much effort I put into it. So the dream sequences in there, the scenes after and they lived happily ever after that line, everything after that, it was very fun to create. Dream sequences in my opinion are just so much fun because there are no rules. Like you can do anything in those dream sequences. So that's why it was a very fun experience for me.
That's so cool. I was
Someone
going
said
to
chapter
ask
2
why.
is the best chapter because it's the only one that isn't painful. Are you sure though?
Are you sure? What the heck? Oh, I don't know. I think my favorite chapter is probably chapter 6, actually.
Chapter 6, that was uh
Just them traveling,
just
I
yeah,
think.
that was just them vibing in the snow in the snowy plains.
Vibing in the snow. Yes. I don't know
Vibing
why that's my favorite one. It just kind of was. Maybe it's because I was narrating it and there's something about saying out loud.
in the
But I don't know. Because I liked that there was a whole chapter in chapter 5 dedicated to their dealing with their grief. Sorry. Dealing with their grief. And then chapter 6 was all about them coming back together from that fallout.
mm-hmm.
Maybe it just appeals to me.
Yeah, that was my intention, just a clean arc of like not a clean arc, I guess, because there is nothing easy or clean about healing and dealing with grief. So, that's why a lot of the times from chapter 4 onwards, the characters are just, tumbling back and forth, kind of not sure where they stand with each other and with themselves. So, chapter 6, there were moments in chapter 6 where I put parts where it's just quiet, like you just kind of zoom into these characters and really intimately um connect with them because everything around them is just so chaotic at that point. In the grand scheme of things, it's just a lot is happening, a lot has happened and a lot will happen. But I'm talking about this one scene in particular in chapter 6 where Wilbur and Techno are just talking about what were they talking about? How what if death is easier, and what if
Yeah,
it's
where they were just
right?
riding next to each other and looking at the sky. I remember that part.
that's I think one of my favorite scenes. I think that's one of my favorite scenes, just on how quiet it is.
Mm-hmm.
But also
Because
because
it's just
I
them.
was just so burnt out from writing fighting scenes that I was just like, oh god, finally a moment to breathe. They're just they're just traveling now. I can finally relax.
Yes. I actually mentioned that in my first stream that I had, that it was like what Hayao Miyazaki does in his films, his Studio Ghibli films, where he just has moments where there's nothing going on. There was a bunch of stuff that happened, and then there's just the moment where there's nothing, so that the audience can
And
recuperate
breathing.
almost.
And yeah, just a lot of breathing in chapter 6, and then a lot of screaming in chapter 7.
Well,
It was the
yeah.
calm before the storm. Before the storm.
So we needed it. So that was a good call on your part. And that was actually something somebody had asked on my poll that I put on YouTube, how you structure your story, because it's very well structured. I think specifically they wanted to know how you came up with your foreshadowing, because it's really well
Ooh,
done.
the foreshadowing. Huh. Okay. See, the thing about the foreshadowing is that I thought it was gonna be like, because I have a lot of insecurity about my writing, and I thought the foreshadowing is gonna be too in your face. Like I really thought that I wasn't being subtle at all. Like I thought it was getting annoying at that point, especially at chapter 4 with the whole morning glories. Uh, because with the morning glories, while Nikki and Tommy were like talking about how morning glories were only lasted a day, and I paused at that point, and I was like, is this gonna be too obvious? Is this gonna be too in your face, on the nose? And then I realized it's important to realize that your readers don't know what's gonna happen. You do, because you're a writer, and that's why it felt so in your face to me, because it was already in my head what's gonna happen. But I guess it's important to keep in mind that the readers and writer have different experiences with the story. So I'm really glad that that landed well, because I was very insecure about. So I'm
and
glad you
and
guys like
people
that bit.
people really like the flowers.
The flowers,
What's the word? No, darn,
like
what's the word?
the symbolism. So the
Symbolism,
symbolism and
thank you.
flowers.
You got it. Symbolism. They like the
Okay.
yellow rose, they like the morning glories. Is that your favorite symbol that you created? Because there's
Actually,
also a
no.
lot connected with birds.
Yeah, there's a lot about the birds, and there's a lot about the flowers. What's really funny to me is that like the flowers were actually kind of like just an afterthought to me at some point. Like I literally just googled what's a flower that means friendship, and that's why the yellow roses are there, because I was like because I was like I don't know shit about flowers, so let me Google, and then that the yellow rose came up, and that's how we got the iconic, I guess, quote unquote iconic yellow rose.
Yeah.
But beyond that, I don't think I gave a lot of deep deep thought into it, aside from when it came into the story in a way, like the morning glories. Aside from that, I think the flowers were just background for me. However, my favorite symbolism, I think, what is the parallel between Dream and Achilles. I like that because not a lot of people picked up on it. I'll give you like I don't think anybody has picked up, because it's just a short line that it was kind of a throwaway line. It was when it was when Dream and Techno, and in chapter 7, when they were fighting on the bell tower, right? And Dream was gonna escape.
Oh, he
And
caught him by the ankle.
yeah, he caught him by the ankle. And I specified the heel specifically, because I really liked to connect Dream in that moment to Achilles, where he was a he's unstoppable, and then in that one single moment he wasn't, kind of like an Achilles heel. So that was really fun. That's my favorite, at
Oh,
least.
that is good. I didn't catch that.
Yeah, it's just it was just a it was just a subtle nod. I think the birds are cool though, especially in Shrike. I think the bird symbolism is gonna shine there more than it did in Passerine.
Mm-hmm. But now I'm just thinking of that scene on the bell tower because I what I loved about that scene was the fact that at that point, sorry, spoilers for anyone in the chat who didn't know, spoilers. Techno's a mortal at that point. So
Mm-hmm.
he was defeated by a couple of mortals,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
you
And
know?
yeah, yeah,
Like
definitely. I think
trapped by an immortal but brought down by just a couple of dudes who could die at any time.
yep. I think Techno also had a line about how stubborn we like underlined we
Yeah,
mortals are, and I really like to emphasize because in the end, I really wanted to make Passerine about the joy of mortality because a lot of people were expecting me to make them all immortal at the end, and I'm like, I
were
don't
they
know.
really?
I don't know. I have thoughts. I have a lot of thoughts about immortality in general and how, that can't be a good thing. I don't think immortality
That
is.
came through several times throughout the entire work, all 7 chapters. That's a very strong theme in there is mortality.
Mhm.
That's part of why I liked it so much because you were able to capture this idea that being mortal isn't a bad thing and is in fact a desirable thing,
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah, because
especially in the character of Techno.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Because like Techno especially is like the one who goes through that phase a lot because most because from immortal he literally goes into being immortal and he's happy about that because yeah we all I think have a point in our lives when we just stop and think about okay, content warning for talks of death and dying, guys. But like we all fear death at some point in our lives, and I was tired of feeling that, I guess, while I was writing Fast Train. Like I don't want to be afraid of being mortal. I don't want to be so caught up in being afraid of dying that I forget how to live. That kind of mentality. And I was also rewatching The Good Place at that point, which
Yeah.
is a very good TV show. And the ending of The Good Place especially um holds a lot of place in, has a big place in my heart. It's a major inspiration for how I wanted to end Passerine. Just that ending of mortality and endings not necessarily being a sad thing to be avoided.
Yeah. That actually came through, and I don't know if anyone else thought about this. I don't think anyone talks about it. You described Tommy in his death as peaceful. Like,
Hmm.
he looked very at peace. You mentioned it a couple of times. And it made
Yeah.
me think. I don't think. I think it was subconscious when I read that if Dream could bring him back from the dead, I don't think you, as the author, were going to allow that because
No,
he's
no,
already at peace.
not at all. Not at all. I don't think I ever considered bringing Tommy back because I don't know. It kind of cheapens the effect. I think.
Mm-hmm.
Like of just yoinking him back. Like I already put the readers through the ringer of like killing him, and then I just take that back. I don't know. In some stories that could work, but in this particular story, I don't think that would have sent a very good message. So
Mm-hmm.
that's why
Death
he
has a
never.
meaning.
Yeah, death has a meaning. It's not a sad meaning. It's just a meaning. Seeing Tommy clean and peaceful, making Techno cry. Yeah, yeah. That was a I really liked writing chapter 5 in general as well.
I loved reading chapter 5.
Chapter 5 is just it was just very fun. I think
Yeah.
I don't know if yeah I don't know. Sometimes when I write and I just think of this really really sad line, I don't know if this makes me a terrible person, but I just start laughing. Like when I come up with a sad line, I'm just like, "Oh my god." this is gonna devastate people, and then I just start
Oh
laughing.
my gosh.
Like, that makes me sound like such an awful person.
No, that's kind of funny actually. It makes you sound like a supervillain. You're like,
And
oh,
just like,
this'll get him good. Perfect.
chapter 5 is.
I am wondering
Some.
though, if there
Mhm.
were any parts of the story that you could rewrite, what would they
Mm,
be?
I guess um chapter 1 I think is the one that needs a lot of reworking because it's the shortest chapter, I think. Yeah, yeah, definitely it's the shortest chapter. So
Yeah,
I think I would spend a lot more time on the world building in that aspect. Um
that's
somebody
fair.
asked in chat about the world building as well. Uh I don't really know how I built that. I think in my opinion I was just, drawing from what I've read and what I've seen on TV and just uh kind of, just drawing inspiration from that, the world building in that. So I would definitely rewrite chapter 1 to be, I guess, more extensive because chapter one's world building was, I think, in my opinion at least, kind of surface level. So I would like to dig deeper into the world in that regard. So
Yeah.
chapter one gonna get rewrite if I ever get to rewriting it.
And I think that makes sense because in Shrike Chapter 1, you kind of worked a little more on how their world works. You kind of mentioned that George just kind of knows he's a god, just woke up knowing that.
Yeah.
And that's kind of world building, right? Like in this world,
Mhm.
you just kind of are
You know
born
you're
into the role sometimes.
Yeah, they just got handed the script the moment they woke up. They just get handed the script like this is what you are and this is what you will
Yeah.
always be. So that's gonna be a really fun thing to play around with in Shrike specifically. I'm having such a ball writing Shrike just because of how much I can play around with. Somebody asked if there was a chance for redemption for Passerine Dream. I don't know if this is gonna be a spoiler, but no, no. I'm in the firm belief that even if somebody deserves redemption, I don't think necessarily that all characters need a redemption. I think
Hmm.
some characters are more effective as they are without a redemption arc, which is also the stance I hold with character dream. It's just do we really need a redemption, or is it? I think I've put the period on his character, and that's not gonna change.
Yeah. Especially since he spent, it sounds like, thousands of years doing this exact same thing. It doesn't really
Oh,
sound like he wants to be redeemed, even if he
yeah,
could be.
but again, everything is open to your interpretation. This is just my interpretation, but you can go ahead and take what I say and then just discard it because just exercise the author is dead mentality. Like
Nice.
what I say now doesn't really matter.
No, that's fair. I actually like that approach. I'm going to be honest. When the war god first showed up, I thought for sure that it was puns. I don't know why. I think it's because he wore white.
Yeah, he wore all white.
So I was like, oh, cool, it's puns.
I don't know
But
why. I don't know why I made him wear white. I think it was just for the aesthetic of it, like because
I don't know.
yeah,
Because that would make him
that map is
imposing,
dark.
especially in war. If he intends on killing a bunch of people, it's like, you're going to wear white, man? Like, that is such
Arrogance of
a
it, like
flex. Yeah, I
yeah.
don't know.
I don't know if I've talked about this, but like the War God was a really, really late addition to the story. Like I wasn't planning on him at all. He just came out of nowhere.
Really?
Um, yeah, I wrote him in like right there. Like while I was writing the war entrance, his entrance, that was when I made him up. Like
Oh,
when he walked through the fire, I in my mind I thought I was just gonna be a random soldier. But then I don't know why I made him into a war god. I think just oh I know why. I know why. This is how this ties into one of the questions I read in chat a while back. what other storylines did I discard? I know why the War God was such a late addition. Okay, so the chapter 4 War was gonna be the ending, kind of. It was gonna be the end of the story because Dream was gonna show up at the Blue Valley in my mind. But then the chapter kind of took on a life of its own, and then I decided that Dream needed a boss fight after this. Like he needed to be the boss fight, the big
Ah,
baddie at the end of the line. So that's why I put in the War God to kind of substitute for that big antagonist at that point. So I just kind of I put him there to serve as kind of Dream's right hand man, the boss fight, the mini boss fight, as you if you will. He was the
yeah.
mini boss. So that's a fun little trivia for you.
No, that makes sense. That's probably why you added in chapter 7 when Dream mentioned he was going to step in and then
Yeah, he
didn't.
was. Yeah, he was going to step in if but then it didn't.
And then talking about what we said earlier about needing some room to breathe, that makes sense why he would be kind of separated from the war itself. To
Mhm.
because if we figured out everything we know about Dream now, that would have been too much too fast. It would have been
Yeah,
like
it
death
would have,
immediately and then more devastating news. So that's
and
probably a
it
good thing.
would have been so anticlimactic. I think, in my opinion, if the story ended there.
It wouldn't have
I,
had as much punch as it did, that's for sure.
yeah, because like Tommy would have died, and then we would have immediately gone to the time skip, and that's, I don't know, it was the easy way out, and I didn't want to take the easy way out.
Nice. Sorry, I'm just reading chat. They got a lot to say.
Yeah, this is so humbling for me. Like I didn't know that people care this much about what
Oh
that you
yeah,
guys are sending in questions. It's very heartwarming that you care this much.
I'm reading my questions too.
Yeah, go ahead. You can just jump in. I'm also reading chat.
Mm-hmm.
Can you tell us more about why Philza left? Mm, mm, yeah, he left because he wanted to find a solution to immortality, and he left because grief does make you do things that you normally wouldn't do. It doesn't really make you think rationally, does it? So it was a combination of that. I did Bun asked me on Twitter a few nights ago how, is Passerine feels a bad dad, and I would say no. I feel like which made me like really find it surprising how many people in the comments of Passerine was like going, no, Phil, you're such a bad dad, you're such an irredeemable father, and I don't know. For me, okay, on a personal level, a parent leaving has never translated to me as a bad thing objectively. And okay, let me explain because I feel like what I just said was very very out of context. So my one of my parents actually did leave to work abroad, and so in my mind, a parent leaving has never been has always had strong ties to sacrifice and what you need to do for your children, because one of my parents left to find work, and that's for the children. And I think that was also Pastor Phil's mindset going into it. He always had the children, and he always had his children in mind, and he never came back because if he did come back, I think he never would have never left again, because parents, at least good parents, would think that. That's why I'm in the camp that Passerine Phil is not a bad dad. He was just a dad trying his best.
I was wondering. So that's interesting. Because he's a very bittersweet character
Mm,
with a
definitely.
fascinating, a kind of a redemption arc of a sort. I think Passerine Wilbur would have seen it as a kind of redemption arc.
Yeah, in his eyes, it was forgiveness.
Yeah.
Then
He's
again,
just one of the more fascinating one. How did you decide on making him the god of freedom?
I was in church. Okay, so I was in church. That's actually where I do a lot of my writing while while I'm in church and bored out of my mind. I just take my notebook and just start scribbling. And I was wondering, I was wondering about Passerine Dreams, his backstory and why he's doing this and what he is at his core. And there's a lot of control there, and there he is one that has been pulling the strings. So I thought it would be really good to place Filza as his opposite. And that's kind of where the freedom came in, but also because I had already put in place all the parallels between Filza and birds because he does have wings, and all the other parallels to birds that I've put in the story that what are birds if not the creatures of freedom, because they're just zooming around, they're just flying around. So that's where I was with
Yeah.
Passerine Bill.
And I think he hinted at that, not even hinted it, kind of outright said it right at the end where Wilbur's complaining about him leaving again. And
Mm.
he's like, it's not like I'm making this easily, you know, because he mentions open skies and it suddenly
Mhm.
hit me. Oh, like he just wants to fly for the sake of flying. He's just it's
Yeah,
part of his
yeah.
nature.
It's kind of part of his nature. There are a lot of questions, I think, that in Passerine that I'd rather leave unresolved, like about the ending specifically, like what happens to Phil's and Dream now. Like that's not really. I'd rather leave that up to my readers, I think.
Mm-hmm. I think that was a good call. Just personally, I think that's good to leave things up in the air and in the
Mhm.
open
I
because
think
it helps the world feel more real.
Yeah, and I've also really enjoyed people making their own interpretations of it, especially the fics, which are there are a lot of like Passerine inspired fan fiction, which is really really cool to see. We love to see it. Just fan fiction of a fan fiction. It's just very fun. It's been a very fun ride watching
Oh, I'm
people.
I'm glad you love to see that because that's what I'm doing.
Yeah, I do really appreciate you know the the things that have come out of Passerine. It feels so big to me. Like it's not even mine anymore. It's just I just threw it out there, and now everyone kind of has a claim on it, and it's been very fun. It's been very fun.
So, would you ever make a physical copy of the story? Would you ever put it in a book that you can buy?
Well, technically, one of my boundaries is that it's okay if you guys print it out for yourselves. Like I don't mind that. It's yours to print out whatever. As long as you're not doing it for profit, of course. But me personally, would I ever like go back and change some stuff so that it could turn out to be a book on its own? I don't think so, because I think a lot of the impact that the story deals comes from it being a fan fiction that plays on already established dynamics, already established stories that would not make sense if it was a completely original story without strings attached. Like for example, the multiple lives reveal wouldn't have as much of an impact if we didn't know, for example, the Dream SMP, or we didn't know about Sky Wars. We didn't know about Earth SMP, because those were the previous lives that were mentioned in that moment, and it wouldn't deal as much damage. damage. It wouldn't deal as much damage if it was like random characters that I made, if it wasn't connected to characters that we already know.
Right. That makes sense. There's just a lot of people that have been asking, which, I
Mm.
mean, I don't know. It doesn't need to be in a physical copy, right? Because we
Yeah,
have it
it's just
now.
you could print it out for yourselves. That's fine by me. But personally, making it an actual story, an actual book to be published, I don't think that's in my cards right now.
Not now, anyway.
Not now, maybe. I
You might
mean,
write something in the future completely separate from this that you can publish, and that'd be really cool.
that's the plan, I think.
To be a
I am
writer.
working. Yeah. Um, I think because I'm studying to be a lawyer, but I also do want to be a writer one of these days. So that would be fun to have an original work out there.
That's a lot of questions
Yeah, it's just
coming in.
it's
One
can I
of
make a
them,
machinima based on Passerine? Yeah, sure, go ahead. Could you explain how you thought of the kind of waiting places Dream puts them in? Um, it because
it's like
one
a
of the
waiting in
other
the wings kind of deal, right? Like in a
hmm?
play.
Yeah, it's in a play because there's a lot of symbolism about theater uh scattered throughout the story, and for me it was kind of like the waiting places were like waiting in the wings, just the actors waiting in backstage, just waiting for their cue. They're just kind of there. So that was my inspiration for that.
I kind of want to go along with that. That's
Hmm.
another metaphor. You have a lot of metaphors in your
I know
story.
metaphors.
How do you come up
Yeah.
with them?
Um. I don't. I guess.
Just your
Um.
talent.
It just comes to me in a dream. I get possessed by the god, the god of writing, and then I just put that down. I don't really have a specific advice on that front. I think it just the metaphors is just finding something that makes sense, that that you can logically draw a conclusion to. It shouldn't be that out 2 points should not be the 2 points that you're trying to connect should not be really far out.
Mm-hmm.
The thing about the theater metaphor came from a natural conclusion that it was a natural conclusion from thinking about how they're just dancing puppets, and then yeah, what are puppets if not actors, and then it's just kind of like that. It's like it I think there's it also comes from you know the aesthetics. I just I think a
Yeah.
lot of the I think a lot of the metaphors were just in my head. I was just thinking, what? How can I make this pretty? How can I make this really cute and really beautiful? And I think so that's where the flowers and the stage and the birds come from, because I wanted to
Yeah.
make the story pretty.
I think that's actually a good way that you connected Wilbur into this story, because
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why I thought it was going to be harder for you to include Wilbur in a story like Passerine. I don't know why I thought of that, but you connected it to the stage, especially when he was talking about the voices in his head, because
Mm-hmm.
Techno's voices don't talk to him the same way the voices talk to Wilbur. Like
Yeah, because
Dream chose a
Dream is a
different
little
way of
shit.
going about it.
He's just bored. He's just bored. Really, like I actually really like that detail of like Passerine Dream. Like, of course, there's more to it than him being bored, but like the way he just says that he was just bored, it's just very fun to me. That was
Yeah,
very fun to see.
like until the danger comes to him, he's just kind of sitting somewhere
It's just,
using his powers to project his thoughts like a jerk.
he's just, he's just the director, just kind of on his phone, like waiting for the scene to wrap up. Like, okay, when do
Yeah,
I come in?
that's why the stage metaphor makes sense, because he's a very theatrical person
He's
as a
a very,
character.
he's a fucking dramatic little shit. I love him so much. I
Yeah,
love drawing him.
little over the top,
Somebody
but that
asked,
was fun.
will we see Dream and Shrike? You already have at the end of chapter 2. He's already there.
Yeah, I
Already
I saw
done.
that question and I ignored it because I was like, you just haven't read chapter 2, man,
Read
because
chapter
he's
2,
in it.
Shrike.
And even in Shrike chapter 2, there's such a, I don't know how to describe it. When Dream shows up there's an immediate shift in the, I guess, the mood of the story. It's not a
Mhm.
bad shift. It's just that he provides this interesting disconnect with the rest of the world. Like he
Yeah,
doesn't feel like any other character.
yeah. Thank you for thank you for thinking that, because that was what I was setting out to do. Like I was just making sure that this character is an immediate red flag. Like it
Yes.
just sets your senses off. Like it just activate he just activates your fight or flight response the moment he shows up on page. So yeah, that was my intention, to like make him kind of something other. Like you can't pinpoint it. I get it, it's like a vague sense of doom around this
Mm-hmm.
character, especially if you like you've read Passerine before you've read Shrike and you know how this story ends. It's gonna be really fun playing around with that idea. Actually, like the story, you guys already know what happens in Passerine, so it's gonna be really fun incorporating that in Shrike.
Yeah, I thought it was a good way of going about it because I think part of the intrigue of Dream, not just as a character but in general, that you can see in people's artwork, he's got this mask, right?
Mm.
And even if he doesn't have a physical mask on, there's always a smile. I think there's a weird idea of constantly smiling that unnerves people. Like no matter what is happening, there's always a smile on your face.
Yeah,
It
it's
didn't come across the same way that it did for like that one anime. What am I thinking of? All Might. His face.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It's just see Dream, like in Dream SMP. Dream is like such an interesting character already, just because of that. He always
Mm-hmm.
has this smile on his face, and like it's creepy. It's so creepy. And Dream SMP Quackity is also doing that right now in the lore,
Yes.
where every threat is behind a smile, and I love characters like that. That's why I made Passerine Dream that kind of character.
Did you see Wilbur's stream yesterday?
Mhm. That's what I'm talking about. Like, see Quackity is just always smiling, kind of just laughing along with everyone until he finally drops the bombshell, and then twists the knife.
Yes.
And, like
See,
you
because
don't see
the
it coming.
when he showed up, right? And we're all kind of worried about Wilbur and his manipulating Ranbu, but every every time Wilbur tried to take a dig at Quackity, it didn't work.
Yeah, it's just he just kind of shrugs it off and like
Yeah,
laughs
with
it
his
off, and that's
horse, with the
so interesting.
restaurant, he kept smiling, and you're like, oh no, what are you planning?
And that's I think that's also what makes Passerine Dream so interesting to me.
Mm-hmm. That was a good
Oh,
one.
somebody asked, why did you remove his mask? Because I think because I think it would be I think Dream would be prettier without his. A lot of the questions can be answered by me thinking it would be prettier. It would, yeah, because I really I don't know. I think it also I think the mask off would add more punch to the story, because you can physically see his eyes and his creepy little smile, like on his face, actually, not on the mask. So I think
Yeah.
that was more, I think, an effective way to put it.
Along those same lines, it's not like you made the Passerine Techno a pig person,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like he didn't have a pig
Yeah,
face.
he didn't have a big face. Imagine
The
if he did.
wings
Oh
on
my god.
Philza are probably the only exception.
Hmm?
The wings on Philza, that's the
Yeah,
only exception to the rule. There's otherwise everyone's basically human.
basically human. Yeah.
Hmm. That okay, that question's come up a couple of times. There are some people that have wondered, did you always intend for Tommy to be the one to die?
Well, for a brief second, like maybe a few milliseconds, I thought about killing off Wilbur, but then I thought, no, that wouldn't make narrative sense, and also Wilbur is my favorite of SBI, so I couldn't do that. It's like such a petty reason. Why Tommy had to go. Yeah, basically, Wilbur and Wilbur, Techno, and Filza were way too important to the story to get rid of, and I'm so sorry, Tommy, that you had to be the least important of the bunch that you had to go. But yeah, Tommy was always the number one choice.
Actually, I think you should give yourself a little more credit. It's not that he's not important. I think his death made the most impact because you
That's
kept
true.
describing him as the sunniest part of their family, the brightest spot. So for you to kill off the brightest part of their family
He
really
was the
makes
heart.
the biggest
He,
difference.
he was the heart, so I went for him.
Wow. Perfect.
Sorry, Tommy.
Nah, it worked.
Somebody asked what was the book Dream was reading at the end. You'll find out. You'll find out.
Oh, really?
Hmm.
Cool.
Somebody also said, why was Passerine Dream wearing just simple clothes at the end? Because he's just a simple guy. And also, I really liked the juxtaposition of him being just kind of this, just this dude, just this dude
Mm-hmm.
sitting in the church, and then slowly you kind of see that, oh, he's not just some dude. And so like presenting him as just kind of this normal, no fanfare around him. Like he wasn't wearing a white coat. He wasn't wearing like a blood red cloak, and he didn't have wings. He's just some guy. I think it was I think it was just an interesting juxtaposition to what he really was.
I think so too. Because that was another reason, that's another juxtaposition. Because you assume that because he's a god, he must kind of look like one too. And the fact that
Mm.
he didn't made him even more unnerving.
He's just some guy, some guy.
Just some guy. Okay, I don't really want to ask this because you said that a lot of what you put in is up for interpretation and is left
Mhm.
open just for people to use their own imaginations to fill in
Yeah.
what wasn't included. But people keep asking what happened to Techno after the ending. Like he sees his gray hair and what after that?
He just
I
lives
just
his life.
assumed, yeah, that he
I
lives
think
his
a lot
life.
of people were expecting like, oh my god, he's. I think that yeah, well, I just saw the chat saying like, does he die like right after he finds the gray hair? No, he's just aging like a normal human
It's
being.
just a gray hair,
He's
you
gonna live.
guys.
He's gonna live the rest of his life as mortal. He's gonna have fun. That's that's the one ending that I have to give Serene Techno. He's gonna have fun.
Did you? Okay, this might be a little weird of a question. Did you intend to? Okay, because Techno's narrative begins the story and ends the story. It's almost
Is
like he's the unofficial main character.
the, yeah, I guess. I mean, the theme of the story is kind of carried by a techno. And literally, the first lines were from were from techno, and then the last lines, like from chapter 1 to chapter 7, it was him.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that was I think it was just him, kind of he started off as an immortal and he's gonna end the story as immortal. I think it was like kind of a circle of life, the circle of the story.
Yeah, because he did kind of carry that theme of mortality. And also, I'd say the theme of family, because that's
Mhm.
another really strong theme.
Yeah, family is a his family especially, just his previous family still being there, like even at the ending, like still being mentioned, just to hammer in the fact that they did matter to him. Like
Yeah,
he might not know his name, but they did matter. Um,
because the first lines are talking about how he must have had a family
and then him
before this
finding out
life.
that he did have a family, but what he had right now was okay too. That I particularly enjoy that line.
Yeah, it's a good bookend that you've got going on. Really well done, honestly.
Thank you, thank
Your
you.
writing's better than you think it is.
Thank you, thank you. I'm blushing. I'm blushing. I kind of
Okay,
wish
this
you
has come up
changed
a good one.
Technoblade's name because the story is so serious, but his name is so silly. Yeah. Um, I actually poke fun at Techno's name a lot in the story.
Yeah.
So yeah.
It's like the first thing Tommy has to say to him. He's like, well, that's a
Really
stupid name.
stupid name. It is a stupid name. I'm sorry, Techno.
But it made it even cooler during the war when Captain, she's like, oh, the blade has joined the fight.
Yeah. The Blade has joined the fight. That was
That made it
great.
cool.
Captain is one of my favorite chapters. I love I love Puffy. Passerine Puffy, my beloved.
A lot of people, they were really, really saddened by her death, by Nikki's death.
Mhm.
Like, it's not talked about as much as Tommy's death because you don't spend as much time on it, but I'd say it's just as impactful. Did
Yeah,
you have a
yeah,
hard time deciding what other characters to add? Like Tubbo, like Nikki?
It's just I think a lot of it's centered around L'Manberg, like the OG L'Manberg citizens. You know, we have Nikki, we have Tubbo,
Oh,
then Puffy kind of fell into the role kind of naturally because of her captain status, and it's like, okay, I'm gonna make her the captain of the guard. So, and I'd like to circle back to what you said about how we didn't spend time on their deaths. I think it was a good way to show how, like, as much as we love these characters, at the end war makes them inconsequential. Like at the end, like literally at the end they're just pieces, you know, after the
yeah,
explosion. They're just pieces. And while we remember them, it kind of adds a layer to the tragedy that not everyone is gonna remember them. Like probably no one's gonna remember them, like their specific stories and their specific names. They're just gonna be part of this great tragedy that happened, kind of like nameless characters. And I like thinking about that kind of effect that war has on people.
yeah. Dang. Ooh, somebody mentioned why you might not have added Jack. There was someone on my poll that I made who wondered if the butler who had less hair than he'd bargained for
Oh my
was
god.
not maybe Jack Manifold.
It, oh my god, the fact that people found that connection. If no, I never intended him to be that butler, but sure, go ahead. Headcanon him as the butler who went bald. That would be very funny. I went but I really like that a lot of the times my readers are just way smarter than me. And they just find and they just make the character and they just make the story like a step up to what it really is. So that's very funny. I like I'm gonna headcanon that myself now that he's the butler who went bald.
Perfect. Because that,
But I
that
didn't
kind
add
of.
Jack. I don't think I added Jack because at that point there were already too many characters to keep track of. Because originally chapter 4 was going to be one point of view. It was gonna be Phil's point of view in my notes. Yeah.
Really?
It was it was gonna be Phil. Chapter 4 was gonna be because I only had planned 5 chapters that and I wanted chapter 4 to be Phil's this triumphant return and then he's gonna die in battle or whatever. And then, you know, the story kind of took on a life of its own and obviously there's more than 5 chapters. So it was gonna be Phil's point of view in chapter 4. Then I realized like that would be so boring for just one character to narrate an entire war. Like that's not that's not, you know, it's not that's boring in my opinion. Like just one set of eyes on everything. So that's
Yeah.
how chapter 4, you know, kind of like snowballed into this grander, bigger thing.
It did feel more dynamic because war is messy and all over the place. So for there to be more than one narrative made sense.
Yeah, and I wanted to explore more themes more themes that the war brings in, and I couldn't really do that if I had only had one narrator, one back with one set backstory. So I wanted to explore other backstories as well. Tubbo, especially in Passerine, is a lot of self projection. Kind of loving your country enough to die for it, and then when it actually happens, you're scared, and that's normal, and that's okay, and it's fine to run away. So that's what I liked to explore about Tubbo. But then on the other hand, you have Nikki who didn't run away, and that's okay too. So you know, Nikki and Tubbo and Passerine are just very cool characters to write.
Yeah, they were. And I actually wondered about Tubbo. Was he always going to be part of the story?
Yeah, because I don't know. In my head, there can be no Tommy without Tubbo and Tubbo without. So he was always going to be in the story. I didn't know to what capacity until until I got there.
Yeah,
But yeah, he was
just that
always
he'd be
going to be there.
somewhere. Really cool. Because I made a connection between Tubbo and Techno, actually. Because, I don't know,
Mm-hmm.
there seemed to be a lot of parallels between the two, at least in Passerine. I don't know if that was on purpose. Can you
Like
still hear me?
yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, sorry. My thing has a little buffering dealio on it, and I thought that I was off again.
You're good. You're good.
Yeah, I just made that connection because he talked about, because they both have a younger sister, and they both talk about how war and shedding blood has changed them permanently, and they wonder if anyone of their family will even remember them as they were.
Mm-hmm,
It just
mm-hmm.
got me to thinking, if Tubbo's like this after one battle, I can't imagine how much Technoblade
Or
has
watch
changed.
yeah. Or changes people. I don't think that's a particularly new thought.
Nope.
But
Okay,
I
see,
like
yeah, some
Sarah.
people were like, there was a lag, there was a problem, so it's okay now?
Yeah, I think we're good. Techno Sister, my beloved. Ah, yeah, Techno Sister was also a character, right?
Okay, who keeps asking about Ranbu?
Yeah, I keep seeing Ranbu's name pop up. I didn't want to put Ranbu in it. I think because I didn't really know him that well at that point. Because Passerine was like months ago before Ranbu really, he
Mm-hmm.
became a big creator. So I didn't really know where to put him either. So he just kind of slipped through the cracks. I'm so sorry, Ranbu. But I like to think if I were writing Passerine now that I would make. Oh no, this is kind of sad, but like I would make Ranbu be part of the Green Army, and he's gonna go up against Tabu in the Blue Valley. I think that's where I would put him if I were writing Passerine now.
That's fair.
He'd have to
Because
go
that's
against.
kind of how it was in the Dream SMP. He just kind of showed up, right?
Just kind of showed up. Yeah.
Yeah.
Not going no.
Hmm.
It would be really. That would have been a really cool thing to put in there.